So this is a Renault Zoe with a 22 kilowatt hour battery pack. It is a 2015 model, so is now 6 years old. And in this video, I'm going to look at the health of the battery pack with my diagnostic. So this car is 6 years and 2 months old, and it has done 25,176 miles. So not many miles for the age of the vehicle, but what I tend to find is lower mileage cars will normally have worse batteries than higher mileage cars, because battery degradation tends to happen the most when a car battery is left at 100% charged and not driven. So you tend to find that's exactly what happens with low mileage cars. They get charged overnight and then left for a few days. And if that's done frequently over the life of the car, then those battery packs tend to be a little bit worse than high mileage vehicles that get driven every day. So there is this sort of general myth that high voltage batteries in electric cars need changing every 5 years or so. Obviously they do degrade a little bit. What I tend to find is typically they degrade at about 1% a year or so, and more like 3% in a Nissan, just because they don't have thermal management in their packs. But Renaults, they do have good batteries. So with the help of the scanner here, let's connect into the battery pack and see what it reports. On the Zoe, the diagnostic port is under the mat in the little pocket there, and I've got the dongle plugged in there, and that's wireless to the scanner here. So I've got all the ECUs called up here, and we want to go into the BMS, which is the battery management system. Effectively, that's the ECU in the battery pack where you can look at all the stats. And what I'm going to do is look at the live data of the battery, and we're going to look at all signals. So the car is currently switched on, and we are looking at all the information that the BMS records. So we can see the battery cell voltages of every single cell, and we can see that they are all pretty much equal. It's in millivolts, and we've got every single cell. And obviously we're looking at the live data of the battery, so you would want to sort of identify any that aren't the same voltage, but they all are. We've got 35, 40, so 44 cells, and they're all within 2 millivolts. Then we've got the temperatures of every module, 5 degrees. It is cold out there today. I'm just looking up here, and it is 3 degrees on the car, but 5 degrees in the pack. Then we've got some more voltages, number 45 onwards, 50, 60, 65, 70, and again, they are all the same voltage. And we carry on all the way to number 96, and then we've got some more temperatures. They're all 5 degrees. One is 6 degrees, but there are obviously no decimal places here, so you know that could be 5.9 and that could be 6.0. You never know. Here's the crucial thing that we're interested in: the battery condition, and it is currently at 98% state of health. So minimal degradation on the pack. There the batteries also record the mileage of the pack, and that's in kilometres. So 40,634 kilometres should match the 25,000 miles on the dash, but I can't do the maths at the moment. But we've then got I can't say that word. Cumulative energy when discharged, 8,485 kilowatt hours. The traction battery state of charge now 63.1%, and if we look up there on the dash, yeah, it is at about 60%. And then we go back here, we've got computer supply voltage 13.4 volts, traction battery current 0, because it's not being driven, I assume. So this is another important thing: lowest cell charge status 62.5, highest cell charge status 63.6%. So we're looking at only 1% difference between the highest and lowest cell in the pack, so that sounds okay to me. And then we've got bus bar voltages, and they're all at 0.006 or 0.007 volt, all very similar. And then we've got an open circuit voltage, I don't know what that is, 3.9 volt. Total capacity 70.6. I assume that is amp hours. So yeah, I'm not seeing any more information on that, or a value either, but I'll do a bit of maths on that one as well. So yeah, that's what you can see when you look at the battery pack. That's the information that the BMS is providing. Obviously not to the driver or to the user of the car, because you need a scanner or software to read this information, but this is typically obviously for a workshop technician to use to diagnose any faults with the pack. So the other thing to bear in mind here is when you're looking at that battery information, you're just looking at a snapshot in time. It's not absolute. So when looking at that capacity figure, there's a lot of factors which can vary that, and indeed the battery capacity does fluctuate. So in this case, this car has been sat unused for probably 2 weeks now, because we've had the Christmas break, and it is very cold in the workshop. Obviously at the moment it's 3 degrees, but yesterday it was -3 in here. So that battery pack is cold, and we all know that when batteries are cold, they're less efficient and they can store less energy. So what the capacity we're looking at now is just what it currently is. When the weather warms up, or this car is back into use and the battery gets charged, the battery is going to warm up and it's going to have a greater storage capacity. So when looking at this, you've just got to take all those factors into consideration, and you're only looking at a snapshot in time, and you've got to consider all these other factors such as temperature and state of charge and all things like that. So a lot of people do seem to get very upset when I post videos like this, showing that battery packs just aren't degrading as people assume they are. Obviously with a battery pack you have a usable capacity and a total capacity. So while these cars are called the ZE22 and referred to as the 22 kWh battery pack, they've actually got a total capacity of 25.92 kWh, so roughly 26 kWh, and the usable capacity apparently is 23.3 kWh. So again, more than Renault claim or state as the obviously the model number. So that's great, because a lot of manufacturers, they only tell you the full capacity and don't tell you actually what the usable capacity is. So obviously with electric batteries, the usable capacity is smaller than the greater capacity, because they build in a buffer, a little bit of a buffer at the top and the bottom of the pack. So when you charge the car to 100%, the battery really isn't at 100%. It's at something like, without doing the maths, 95%. So the battery doesn't get stressed when it's fully charged. And again, if you were to drain the battery down to 0 and the car goes flat, the battery isn't actually flat. Again, it keeps a little bit of a buffer there, so the battery doesn't get stressed. So typically on average sort of 5% or a bit more at the top and sort of 5% again at the bottom, something like that. So when I post these videos, some people seem to get very upset over it and claim that that just cannot be right, but the reality is batteries just don't degrade as much as people assume, and I'm seeing lots of second-hand electric vehicles, and the range on the majority of them just isn't degrading at the sort of amounts people think, and you could drive this and get exactly the same sort of range as you would have done when it was new. Obviously batteries do degrade a little bit, but at the sort of percentage this has degraded, you know, you just don't notice the difference in range. Your day-to-day driving, whether it's rainy, cold, you drive fast, got the heating on, there's all these sort of factors which makes the car use more energy and your driving efficiency drops, and that varies more than, let's say, the 1% a year that the battery might have degraded. So obviously over a long time, over many years, when the battery pack has got less capacity, it is going to result in less range. But in the real world, year by year, you hardly notice any difference at all. And obviously these battery packs are going to last a very long time, and typically I really do think the batteries will outlast the cars. However, there is a bug in the BMS software, and if your car hasn't had a BMS update since it was new, then you are going to see a poorer pack, but this car has had the BMS update and that's why we're not seeing any different. But yeah, cars that haven't had that software update, you often will see that the battery is down to about 73-74%, something like that. I think I've seen one at about 60% at worst. But yes, if you can get the BMS update, that completely resolves the issue and fixes all the bugs in that original code. So that's it for this video, and on the channel are plenty of other videos on battery packs on used electric vehicles. I'm posting EV videos at least every week, and I'll see you on the next video.